A few of you reached out to me to talk about this very horrific and gruesome story that is coming out of Tacoma, Washington, involving these two individuals right here. On the left, you see a man by the name of Patrick Byrne, and on the right, you see a woman by the name of Denise Smith. And this guy, Patrick Byrne, I've already read some of the details. He brutally beat this woman to death. And there was, based on so far what I was reading, it's going to get reiterated in the article that I'm going to read. She tried to leave multiple times, and every time she tried to leave, he beat her some more, into the point where her body pretty much fell and couldn't move anymore, and she just died from being brutally beaten to death. And when I say brutally beaten to death, I'm talking about this guy used as many objects as that wasn't nailed to the floor as he possibly could. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this article, and it's going to be pretty graphic. The Pierce County Prosecutor's Office filed first-degree murder charges Friday against 26-year-old Patrick Philip Byrne, an Army Ranger stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord, for allegedly murdering a Tacoma security guard during an attack caught on surveillance video. On July 18th, the Tacoma Police Department responded to a building downtown where a security guard, later identified as 41-year-old Denise Smith, was found lying on the floor, bleeding and not breathing. Detectives said that it was clear she had been beaten severely and she was declared dead at the scene. Earlier that morning, there was a 911 call that came from outside of the building from a man calling for help. That man was later identified as the suspect. Detectives later learned Byrne was taken to the hospital, saying that he was stabbed and had been sexually assaulted. However, no stab wounds were found on him at the hospital, and he did not allow hospital staff to conduct a sexual assault examination. Officers were told that Byrne had a head injury when he arrived at the hospital and possible bleeding on the brain, and that staff believed that he may have been intoxicated. Officers learned that Byrne had been drinking the night before Smith's body was discovered in downtown Tacoma when he was involved in an altercation. Byrne ran from the location after being punched in the face, witnesses told police, eventually making his way on foot to the building where Smith was a security guard. When detectives reviewed the surveillance video at the scene of the murder, they saw Byrne enter the area of the building and go up to the entrance after a brief interaction with a transient woman outside. He stood by the entrance and barged into the building when Smith opened the doors to likely tell him to leave. Over the course of about 10 minutes, the surveillance video appeared to show Byrne beat Smith with his fist, stab her in the face with keys, drag her across the floor by her hair, and choke her until her body went limp. He is also seen keeping Smith from escaping multiple times. After Smith's body was seen going limp on the ground, detectives say that Byrne began throwing furniture across the building's lobby and tried to break a window in one of the building conferences before exiting the building. When officers interviewed him at the hospital, Byrne said that he did not remember the attack and had blacked out after drinking at the bar. The Pierce County Prosecutor's Office charged Byrne with murder, burglary, and kidnapping. The U.S. Army issued the following statement Friday after hearing about the charges. The actions described in reports are absolutely appalling. The Tacoma Police Department has the full cooperation of the United States Army Special Operations Command. Our deepest condolences to the families affected by this tragedy. First off, let me offer my condolences to this woman's family, because she did not deserve any of what happened to her. All she was doing was her job, and this unsuspecting cloud-colored parademon runs right in, and then who would have thought that that would have been the last time that she would have been able to, that she would have been seen alive, I should say. Like, listen to everything that this guy did. They said that this guy hit her, stabbed her in the face with his keys, dragged her on the floor by her hair, and put her in a chokehold until she went unconscious. And then kept her from leaving when she tried to leave. And probably beat her some more. I couldn't even imagine what that scene actually looked like. And then, of course, he tries to blame it on the alcohol that he consumed. And apparently it sounds to me like he got into some kind of an altercation before he got there, based on what I'm reading here. So this guy was just running from trouble and ended up in more trouble. They better throw the book at his ass. Like, there's no way, no how that this guy should be walking away from what he did. And then try to cover it up, going to the hospital saying he got sexually assaulted By who? That's that was the part that got me. Is that he tried to claim that he got sexually assaulted. By who? Exactly. They said when he said he refused to get an examination, it reminds me of some of them lying ass Me Too heifers. But yeah, I told you it was gonna be a very gruesome story. I mean, imagine she got stabbed by some keys. I know she was in pain just from that alone, in the face, at that. And then to top it off, this guy was intoxicated, so he really, really blacked out. Like when he was intoxicated, he wasn't in any kind of control. The minute he started, he could not stop. But that's still no excuse for what he did to this woman. And the thing is, she died painfully, in agony, and slowly. To get beat to death has to be one of the worst feelings ever. It's not like you got shot or you got stabbed or anything like that. You are literally having constant blunt forces hit you all at one time, and you can barely defend yourself, and it makes you disoriented. And that adrenaline rush, I couldn't even imagine what that feels like. But I don't know what the death penalty is for Washington, but if there is one, he qualifies. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments.